We already know people are going to get trapped when the rains pass an hour or more. So why do we wait until they become trapped before we send these NADMO and fire service and these rescue teams? For me, that isn't preparedness. That is a response to reaction. And that's what we are good at as a country, from my observation. Intelligent societies don't wait for disasters before they respond. And I am sad. And I think Accra must be stripped of its capital city status. Hold on, even before you attack me or come to make argument with me. You see, the problem is not just about flats, ranging from transportation, accommodation, employment, and a whole lot. Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday, after the president toured the flooded part of Accra, the president said something that caught my attention. And in fact, the findings that he said is exactly what my research actually pointed to. You see, he said that Accra's flooding problem is caused by two major things. The first thing being engineering problem, and the second thing is human behavior. I totally agree with him. But for me, I think there's a third problem. A problem nobody is bold enough to admit. And that is Accra has outgrown itself. And until we confront that reality, not only flats will become a problem. Just like I have said, ranging from transportation, accommodation, employment, and the rest, it will be a challenge that we will have to live with for a very long time. It's obvious since 2001. Anytime it rains for just an hour or more in Accra, the whole of Accra shuts down. Electricity goes off. The internet shuts down. Businesses stop. Traffic freezes. You will see properties and lives being lost. But eventually, when the sun comes out again, life returns to normal. And we seem not bothered much until the next problem arises. Since 2001, when these disasters and problems began, Ghana has known exactly who to blame. We know the politicians who approve construction on waterways. They buy lands that are wetlands and they build on them, usually because their party is in power. You see, we have seen the planning authorities who look away when influential people build in wetlands. Yes, the big boys in the society. They buy lands at where it should have been reserved as a water path, and yet we look at them to build on them. You see, the district assemblies who fail to enforce their own regulations. And sometimes I wonder, even as the citizens who dump refuse into drains and sometimes drop rubbish anywhere, and if you are being asked to pick the rubbish, you become offended. If we are to be honest, even some of our own compound walls that we have mounted may be obstructing the natural path of our water. So the blame is no longer the mystery. And I'm not interested in putting so much blame because we already know who to blame. The issue is, why is it that we already know the solution, yet nothing fundamentally seems to change? It happens year after year and there is no improvement. It keeps becoming more and more. There are dozens of studies by Ghanaian engineers and urban planners, a lot of researchers who have proposed practical solutions here in Ghana and in the diaspora. You see, countries like Singapore and Japan face similar urban water challenges and other urban challenges decades ago. Today, through programs like the ABC Waters program, the integrated drainage planning, and the strict enforcement of building regulations, They have transformed water from a disaster into an asset. And this is a blueprint already there that we can copy. And a whole lot. The solution is staring us in the face. The knowledge exists. The expertise exists. The research exists. What is missing is the political will and the bold implementations that we should be doing. You see, Ghana, my country, has become a country that prepares better for disaster relief than disaster prevention. And that should worry every one of us. We can remember June 3rd, 2015, Kwame Nkrumah's circle. More than 150 lives were lost. Not because the rain is powerful, because it rains in other countries, but because there was a poor planning that failed the people. Think about that. Rain didn't kill the people, but a city that was poorly designed, it was that killed the people. Because at the end of the day, the solution will be lying under somebody's bed peacefully. And you know what I am talking about. Think about it. And you see, 11 years later, the same roads flood, the same place is still floods, the same communities panic, the same interviews happen here and there, the same promises return again. So for me, when the same disaster keeps repeating every year, then I come to think that it is no more an emergency. It has become part of a system that you and I must adopt to and learn how to survive. And here is what I propose in the short term to the president and the relevant authorities. If only we might incorporate this, I believe this will help in the short term whilst we look at the long-term solution. But first, let me ask these questions. I want to know NADBO, Ghana National Fire Service, and all relevant authorities, the Hydrological Service Department, the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, the Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council, the ministry responsible for works and housing and water resources. I really want to know, do you have a complete digital map that shows every flood prone community in Accra? Do you have a map that when we look at a goal, we can see all the places that when it rains right now, there will be excessive flooding and people's life will be at stake? I want to know, do you have reliable data showing exactly how many lives that have been lost? I really want to know, since 2001, how many lives that we have lost through this flood, and then how many properties that we have lost, how many people are being displaced. Please bring this data out. Let us know. Let us see the seriousness of it. Maybe because of that, we are not seeing the seriousness of this. How many businesses have been affected over the years because of this? I am hoping the answer is a yes. There's a data like that, and I hope you bring it out. And here's what I propose in the short term. At this point, I strongly propose that we have a rescue canoe permanently stationed inside those communities even before the rains begin, because of course the meteorologist will be able to give us information of an upcoming rain, the duration that it will be, and all that. So we should have canoes stationed in these communities where we know that when the rains begin, flood will become an issue. The president used helicopter for the aerial tour, and when I looked at the video, I was so happy. And yes, these same helicopters with rescue team in them should be strategically deployed to areas of severity whenever heavy rain is ongoing. That is because there are some people that are being carried away by flood, and sometimes I just look at the part of the video. I do not see the whole video to see whether they are being carried away by the flood water or they were being rescued. That's why I'm asking, do we even have a data of the number of lives that have been lost, the people that have been carried away by this flood? Do we have the data? Let us have helicopters available that are being released immediately the heavy rainfalls begin at places that we sense severity, because I believe that in the short term this will help. You see, we should train one person in every household. At least one or two people should be trained in every household. It should become something that we must do in areas where this flood is prone to happen. And these people are being trained to serve as volunteers to rescue in their situations, so that I don't have to call NADMO or fire service to move from far distance to come for my aid. By the time they might have arrived, the harm might already have been caused. There should be a national program that looks at distributing life jackets to households that flood almost every rainy season. The country by now should be looking at buying life jackets for each person in this flood prone community. In fact, at least each person should have one jacket, if not anything two, that anytime there is an emergency, they just use it as a survival means, even before the helicopter reaches there, or maybe the emergency response team reaches there. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, I believe swimming should be a compulsory life skill in our schools. Not for sports per se, but for survival, especially schools in Accra. We already know people are going to get trapped when the rains pass an hour or more. So why do we wait until they become trapped before we send these NADMO and fire service and these rescue teams? For me, that isn't preparedness. That is a response to reaction. And that's what we are good at as a country, from my observation. Intelligent societies don't wait for disasters before they respond. They prepare, they are predictable. Even before the thing happens, they have the solutions already there. That's what Ghana should be doing. You see, the President Mahama said one long-term solution is to decongest Accra by moving major government institutions and creating new centers of growth outside the city. So he is thinking about how Accra can be decongested. I think we should take that conversation more seriously, and then we should look at it further. It is more serious. Perhaps Accra has reached the point where we must ask an uncomfortable question. Should Accra remain Ghana's capital? And for me, it's a big no at this stage. Before you attack me, hear me out. The drainage system serving Accra today was designed for an Accra that is no longer existing. The population has multiplied, in fact, tripled. I don't know how to put it. Concrete has replaced wetlands. Buildings have replaced natural waterways. The city continues expanding. The infrastructure does not. The problem keeps on expanding, increasing every day, ranging from, as I have mentioned, the transportation, the employment, the accommodation, the everything. So imagine trying to pour 10 liters of water into a 5-liter bucket. It doesn't matter who becomes the president or the regional minister or whatever it is. The bucket will still overflow. And that is exactly what Accra has become. So this year, if we all will start talking about how we can decongest Accra, I think more lives will be saved. And for me, my argument is clear. Accra must be stripped of its capital city. For me, I propose that we move the capital city to Western region. And for that, it is another argument that I will come out with very soon. Ghana needs to move its capital city from Accra and then redesign Accra, and maybe later, if we want to bring it back to Accra, that's fine. You see, June will continue returning every year to test our common sense as a nation. And my hope is that when June returns next year, Ghana will not be having the same conversation that we are having right now around flood, around transportation, around accommodation, around employment and all that. But then, I'm hoping that by then, Ghana had produced solutions that other African countries can use as a blueprint. Ladies and gentlemen, if this is your first time watching me, I will urge you to subscribe to my YouTube channel and come back. Let us have another meaningful conversation. Thank you so much.